Both the Springboks and Los Pumas managed to secure huge away wins over the weekend. For us Wallabies and All Blacks fans though, it was pretty similar what went wrong. The Boks absolutely dominated the Wallabies for the first 65 minutes. It was ruthless. Everyone's pretty quick to beat down on the Wallabies, which don't worry, I'll get to shortly, but any team playing with that attitude and confidence are hard to beat. And I reckon that Springbok team on the weekend, they were borderline unbeatable. They've just continued to level up the Boks. Their style of play was innovative, pulling off that line-out move, passing from one pod to another and going on for a try. I mean, it's very irritating it was against the Wallabies, but as a fan of rugby, that's the kind of stuff that brings crowds into stadiums, and you'll expect every under-16 team to try and pull it off next weekend. The other thing that stood out was their ruck speed. It was quick. Like, Nguyen running down Brian Habana quick. Quicker than me and the So many different times in the game, the Wallabies were still trying to retreat onside, and the Springboks were just throwing waves of attack at the Wallabies. Not only could the Wallabies not make it back onside in time, they were struggling to slide across in defence while the Boks forwards were peeling around the corner. And it was just a nightmare for the Wallabies to try and deal with. Go back and look at Cogger Smith's try. That's a perfect example of this in motion. I would show it to you, but it'll get deleted off YouTube so quick. Just downloading anything from the Rugby Championship will probably blow up my fucking computer. They've added this width to their attack that's like a game line cheat code. You've got this huge, powerful pack banging down the front door in the middle of the field. Then you got Peter Steph Dutoy and Eben Etzebeth roaming that 15-metre line with blistering pace out the back. Now, I had heard and seen glimpses of Ngomazulu highlights, but far out, he absolutely punished the Wallabies. His running and passing game is so hard to handle, and he just unlocks the South African back line. Him and Kurtley Arunza were just an absolute nightmare, and you can tell they thrive on that disjointed defensive line. And as for the Wallabies, their ill discipline just kept piggybacking the Springboks into good field position and giving them the ball. The Boks never let the Wallabies get into the game. There's an absolute outrage over here at the moment. I mean, everybody is blowing up about the Wallabies kicking game. And the kicking game was fascinating, but you know, I think it was just we had no answers to the swarming Springbok defence, so we were just kicking the ball away. It was really only the last 10 to 15 minutes the Wallabies got any kind of a sniff, and that was on the back of a ton of penalties and 3 yellow cards. Look, I don't like to single out individuals too much, but Jake Gordon, 2 carries, 0 metres throughout the game. That stings. And Lolosio made 1 tackle, missed 4. Only making 20% of your tackles is pretty crazy. Fast forward to Los Pumas versus the All Blacks. What a start for Contempomi as a coach in the Rugby Championship. He was a great player, and I'm kind of happy for him as a coach just because he was such an icon of the game. The All Blacks had some similarities in their performance to the Wallabies. Ill-disciplined, struggling to exit, like really badly struggling to get any kind of good territory, and they put themselves under a pile of pressure. Every team that takes on Los Pumas don't want to get stuck in that arm wrestle, because if they get a sniff, they're really hard to put away. The Argies were definitely prepared for this game as well. We all know that Jason Ryan has the best maul defence in world rugby, and he's the All Blacks forwards coach at the moment. They're actually pretty innovative like the Boks. In that line-out, it was brilliant where they sent up the middle pod and threw to the front jumper. And because they didn't even go up in the air, although the All Blacks were setting up to counter a maul, because Jason Ryan's maul defence relies on this sort of squeeze approach, there was a ton of space when they decided to take off straight through the middle. Yes, they called the All Blacks lacking, but it was also the perfect counter. Well done to the forwards coach. They would have known. They would have done their research. It's international rugby. One thing they did really well is continually change the side they were attacking on with these late sweep or switches at the last minute. And if you go back and watch, so many times you can see the All Blacks sitting on their heels. Sometimes they're already moving backwards as if they're premeditating the play is going to go to the other side of the field. And from there was just no way they were going to stop the Argentinians getting over the advantage line. I think another big contributor was their mistakes, penalties, failed exit sets. They were all sort of compounded together and put Los Pumas in a dream spot to score points. I see Ethan Blackadder's absolutely copying it on the online world at the moment. It'll be interesting to see if Razor sticks with him. He did miss some crucial tackles and give away some penalties, but he also topped the tackle count and he's usually pretty reliable. One thing I will say though is it's pretty clear the All Blacks are definitely buying into Scott Robertson's systems at the moment. I think I watched every post-match interview with players just to see their reactions, and they're all talking about the lessons they learned, which Scott Robertson's so big on. So that's a positive sign, and it shows the players are believing in the systems that he's putting in place. just so much went Los Pumas' way. You know, Angus Gardner, he's so good for an upset. Yes, they were definitely the better team on the day, but a lot went their way. A lot went their way for them to get that win. It's like when an Australian team beats a New Zealand one in Super Rugby. A lot of things have to go right for that win to happen. I thought Los Pumas' forward pack had it over the All Blacks throughout the game. Crema, Gonzalez, Matera, they were huge. I mean, they are every game for Los Pumas. They're probably one of the best back rows in international rugby. No scrum for 60 minutes was wild. It's interesting just seeing how different everyone's thoughts and reactions are to having no scrums. I mean, you'd think the All Blacks wouldn't mind playing with no scrums, being such a fit and mobile pack, but yeah. Anyways, I'll leave that to you guys to talk about in the comments. I think Los Pumas' bench definitely had it over the All Blacks' bench. In fact, that was one of the biggest, standout factors in the game. Los Pumas came on, their bench all made an impact, where the All Blacks were relatively quiet. Looking ahead to this weekend, hopefully it's a bit more of an arm wrestle for the Wallabies and the Springboks. I reckon Schmidt's going to let a few guns out of the holster. Coram Betty, Corey Toole. I've heard that Taniela Tupou still won't be back, so that sucks. But I think the game will definitely be a little bit closer. Hopefully 10 points or so. I think it'll still go the way of the Springboks. And I think a huge bounce back game has to be looming for the All Blacks. I mean, I'll be shocked. If Los Pumas beat the All Blacks twice in New Zealand, I would be absolutely shocked. I think this will be one of the most inspired All Black performances we see. Let me know what you think down in the comments, and thanks for watching.
Why did they do this? And if I do fall down, if I do fall into pieces, put myself together.